Hello, everyone. Next Walk Hill Bethelite here. And I found it interesting that the treatment that we receive as former Jehovah's Witnesses is so foreign to everyone else. It almost sounds normal to us to talk about how our brothers or sisters shun us, they don't talk to us anymore, simply because we decide we don't want to be a part of the Jehovah's Witness cult. Well, this is so rampant. It happens so frequently. Families are ripped apart and destroyed all over the world because of the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. And we, as cult survivors, to a certain extent, even we may have been emotionally damaged to a certain extent because of the shunning Jehovah's Witnesses do so often. Well, I've been looking on YouTube and finding it very interesting. This discussion that's been going on about the illegal immigrants or the people that are crossing the border, whether it's asylum seekers or however you want to word it. There's a lot of discussion being had with apparently Trump's new, I guess they call him the border czar, is having. And the discussion centers around families and the breakup of families. Because every clip that I watch, if you look up Trump's border czar, it'll put his name up there. I don't remember his name and all that. But it'll put his name up there. You'll see some of the discussions he's having. And everyone that I've seen, their argument about a mass deportation, at least in these discussions, I guess he's having to, with senators or people of high station. Everyone that I saw, their entire argument is from a humanitarian stance. And as I'm watching them talk, it's not like they're saying, hey, how are we going to deport people on a massive scale without breaking up families? Because here, if you read here in the law, it says not to do it. Or, well, because the UN, they've got some rule, they're not letting us do it. They're not saying it like that. They're saying it like from their heart. They can't understand how it's possible to massively deport people without breaking up families, as if this is really something that would bother them. I remember hearing before about children being separated from families, and this had brought up just a huge uproar because your normal human being, this is what we sometimes don't realize, how emotionally damaged we were from the shunning until we see other normal people and how they respond to just the concept of breaking up families on a large scale, just like Jehovah's Witnesses have done. That's the puppy, that's Lily, running over the cord here. But Jehovah's Witnesses have, and it'll probably happen again, and Jehovah's Witnesses have already carried out breaking up families on a large scale. And it's just amazing how person after person was just horrified by the concept. And, the guy that Trump appointed, he's saying, well, we break up families He's saying, it's illegal for what some of them have done. And he's saying, hey, we break up families all the time when a person is arrested. Let's say a person is arrested for DUI or something to that effect. Well, we've got to separate that father or mother from the child that's in the car. So he's kind of appealing to a certain state of normality. Well, here's the issue there. The issue there is that's not targeting any specific group of people per se, like a drunk driver. You know, if a person gets in the car and drives intoxicated, A, they know they could possibly kill somebody. B, it's not just a bunch of, let's say, African Americans doing it. It's not just whites doing it. It's not just Asians. It's not just Mexicans. You know, it's not a specific group of people. But for us, we've endured a targeted mass separation from family. I was just talking to somebody, and just in regular conversation, they were telling me that multiple members of their family, I think they were saying their mother and sister, have started shunning them. Now, people don't fully realize, I don't think people who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses fully realize what shunning is. Because it could be different in different cults. It's a possibility that Amish people shunning might be one thing. Shunning for Amish people might be, well, we're kicking you out of our community, but possibly, I don't know, if their moms and fathers can still talk to them, or, you know, their community can still talk to them from time to time. I don't know the specific rules, but for the longest time with Jehovah's Witnesses, and it still is, that's a point I wanted to touch on, there's no time limit. There's no time limit. So think about the level of damage that something like that would do. You're talking about not having spoken to a mother or a father or your own kids. Oh, she jumped over at that time. In decades, sometimes. And it's not because you went out and drove while drunk. It's not because they're about to have a whole wrestling match right by the camera. This is like this whole house. And it's about to take place right by the camera. But it's not like you went out and drove drunk. It's not like you went out and murdered somebody. People who go and do those things, they're fully aware that they're breaking the law by choice. You know what I mean? It's not that they can't drink and do it without driving. Come on, you guys can do all that not right by the thing. Because it's going to, I'm going to lose my whole thought here. But I could move the camera so everybody can see the wrestling match while I tell them.
Okay, I'll keep them away.
But it's worse. It's worse. Basically, the way we've been treated and called apostates is worse than what the American government, many people in the American government, would even treat someone who has crossed the border illegally. They broke the law for whatever reason. Maybe they didn't feel like they had a choice, or whatever the case may be. They broke the law, and people are saying, even with that, we don't want to break up families. So there's talk. There's been talk. The guy who's been picked as the borders there's been talk of saying, well, hey, bring their families with them. Even he's sympathetic. He's like, well, hey, if they've got to go back to their country of origin, maybe it's Mexico, have their kids go back to Mexico with them so you don't break up the family. Both sides are saying the same thing. Hey, let's not break up families with that kind of an idea. They're saying it in different ways, though. But from our perspective, we haven't been treated with that sort of consideration or kindness. Because a person that's deported back to Mexico could talk to their relatives probably any time they wanted to, unless they end up in prison in Mexico. They probably could talk to their family anytime they want. So what we're enduring is worse. But yet, you know, the United Nations and everybody else is going to take a stand and say, hey, we're not going to stand for the breaking up of families. So really, I think it's something that, you know, it would be great if there was some sort of free counseling. I know that there's counseling that people can get from their employment for some people, but there's a lot of people who are former Jehovah's Witnesses that I've heard have benefited from counseling because we've been treated horribly. We've been treated so bad. The United Nations and everybody else wouldn't stand for it. And we know they wouldn't stand for it because that's the whole discussion in regards to the mass deportation of people who are here illegally. The whole discussion is surrounding breaking up families. We don't want to do that. It's inhumane is what they were saying. They were saying also talking about human rights and inhumane. Boy, if they only knew that people who get sent to Mexico can still talk to their family. Heck, their family can go to Mexico or talk to them on the phone every day if they wanted to. Us, as former Jehovah's Witnesses, the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, some of us haven't spoken to certain relatives, close relatives, family, friends, our whole community that we knew growing up, haven't spoken to them in decades, if not longer, and don't have the opportunity to speak to them. It's as if they're dead. Literally, it's as if they're dead. The person who was bringing up, well, hey, we break up families when it comes to driving drunk and what have you. Well, that's not 100% true. Yes, the person is incarcerated, but I have to ask Serenity, she's over here. I don't know that there's a limit to how much they can call their family. You know, I know that they get phone calls. Can they call their family every week from prison? Do you know?
Sure.
Anybody, if you guys can comment down in the comments. I don't know, but I don't think even the prison system, I could be wrong. I don't have nothing to look it up. Maybe you can look it up on Google, how many phone calls an inmate can have in a week.
It probably depends on different facilities.
But that could give us a general.
How many phone calls can a prisoner have?
She's asking Siri, I think, or Google. But that'll give us an idea that even a person who breaks the law and goes to prison, when you say family separation, you're talking they're in a different place from their family. You're not talking that they can't speak to them. Ever. Did it say anything?
Do prisoners get phone calls?
Hey, we know that they get phone calls. We're trying to figure out how often do they get phone calls. I was trying to bring Lily up so you guys could see her, but then she ran off. I'm telling you, the way we were treated. Gotcha.
Once a week.
So she was saying once a week. So a lot of us. A lot of us. You're talking not being able to speak to your family at all. a lot of us would take that. Hey, we'll take once a week. Shoot, if you talk to your family once every single week, you might actually get tired of talking to them after a while. That's a lot, actually. So even people who get put in prison can talk to their family once a week, like every single week. So I'm telling you, we're talking about, we've been through a traumatic experience that the rest of the world can't even comprehend. They can't even comprehend it. They can't comprehend it. Lily's going after my sock there. The rest of the world cannot comprehend what we've been through. That's why I think it's important that while Watchtower or Jehovah's Witnesses are trying to say, well, hey, we're going to shorten the amount of time a person is usually disfellowshipped. So I've read that this is one of the changes that they made, that a person who is disfellowshipped would be disfellowshipped for maybe 2 months instead of 6 months to a year. You know, some sort of a change like that. The problem is that this doesn't apply to people that they say are apostates. If you're an apostate, there ain't no time limit. If you knowingly decide, hey, I don't want to be a part of this cult, well, they don't want you to be able to speak to your family. They will break up your family, rip your family apart. I'm talking to even people who are married. There's been marriages that were destroyed because somebody didn't want to be a part of that cult. They will rip up your family, and they will do it for more than the 2 months that they're talking about a person would be disfellowshipped for, if you're considered an apostate. You could be disfellowshipped. There's people who talk to their disfellowshipped kids or family members, even when they aren't supposed to. But then a person who is quote unquote an apostate, that they designate as an apostate, they won't talk to them at all. So while Watchtower is trying to look good in front of the public, saying, hey, well, now people can say hello to a disfellowship person, they are still talking about people who they are favorable to. Okay, well, we'll treat people we're favorable to nicely. These are people who are coming to the Kingdom Hall, still being obedient, willing to be obedient, what have you, but a person who doesn't want to be a part of our cult, flat out, full stop, is saying, hey, I don't want to be a part of your cult anymore or at all. It's not going to happen. Those are people they're still treating in an inhumane manner. And I think it can even be proven by looking at the broadcast. That it's not something that, well, there's no proof, we can't say that there's proof. No, you can look at the broadcast where they're making all these changes to lighten up the shunning, but they'll say this don't apply to apostates. Now, apostates, that's different.
Enemies of Jehovah.
Yeah, enemies of Jehovah, that's different. Or people that they think cause them trouble, making people think causes them trouble. They don't want it to apply to them. So my question then is, if Watchtower is trying to get money from governments and are pretending to lighten up, they still shouldn't get that money, because they still treat what they call apostates. It's a literal teaching, a literal policy. A person they call an apostate, they destroy families in the sense of not speaking to them at all. They don't want their members to speak to them at all. So that needs to be looked into. Whatever money they're trying to get from the governments by letting people wear beards and letting women have pants and trying to lighten up the whole disfellowshipping thing, that shouldn't apply, because they're still treating a whole group of people in an inhumane manner. And there's no way that can be debated if we've got proof that the whole United Nations and the whole United States Senate and all these people feel for sure that breaking up families is inhumane, like it's literally been flat out stated that it's inhumane to break up families. Well, you have this whole religious organization that on a mass scale break up families so that it's inhumane. So not only should they not get any kind of subsidy or money from different governments because of this fake, hey, we're lightening up. No, the people you were being the cruelest to, you found a way to still be as cruel to them. So I don't think should even have tax-free exempt status in America, because these are American senators and Supreme Court members or people the border czar was talking to that Trump appointed. These are high up people in the United States government, and they officially think breaking up families is inhumane. And you're just talking a border being the separating factor. Even in the prison system, you're just talking a prison cell. You still talk to them once a week. Heck, you can still talk to them. They can come and visit. There's visitation. So the guy, the border czar, when he was, saying, well, hey, we still have families being broken up, he shouldn't have brought up the judicial system. He should have brought up Jehovah's Witnesses. This border czar person should have said, well, hey, you guys have a whole religion that you gave tax-free status, and you allow them to destroy and break up families whenever they want to. So how are you going to say I can't mass deport 19 million people? Somebody needs to send him that and give him my permission to use that. Instead of telling the people in the Senate or wherever that, hey, we break up families in the judicial system all the time, that ain't really breaking up families in a realist sense of the word. If you really want to look at where people, American citizens, are treated cruelly, don't look at people being separated because of a DUI incident. Look at Jehovah's Witnesses, people who in America are allowed to have a policy saying anybody who is an apostate, we're going to break up your family, and we're going to break it up permanently. Not talking to them at all permanently. Not being able to go see them at all permanently. This border czar guy, somebody called Trump, let him know that he can use this brilliant piece here. Because we always, we do brilliant pieces all the time. No, I'm joking. But, that needs to be, our example needs to be given as an example of Americans who are treated cruelly and ripped away from families. Since this is the big discussion on the world stage, bring up the real victims of family separation. The people who have really had to endure it because of the religious stance that people have a freedom of religion, so they can bring up policies that we know are inhumane. Everybody agrees it's inhumane, and it's against people's human rights to be separated from their families. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. Syringe, you have anything to add to it? Nope.
Hello. Hope everyone's doing well. That's it.
So, Yeah, but you guys should check it out. Check out the discussions about the border and check out people's arguments about, hey, this is inhumane, breaking up families. And we need to tell those people, well, wait a minute. I almost want to go and type it in the comment section in YouTube where millions of people are talking about, or potentially millions of people could be looking at a discussion on human rights. And I want to go in the comment section and say, well, hey, if you don't want to send a person back to their country of origin because you don't want to break up families, well, we need to stop Jehovah's Witnesses from breaking up families here in America and everywhere else whenever they want to, because of the apostate thing and doing it for indefinitely. They break up families indefinitely, so there is no 2-month limit. Comment down below. X Walk Kill Bethelite signing out.